Today, we're diving deep into the Punjabi hit Chal Mera Put 2. We're going to deconstruct its comedy to figure out how this film manages to find gut-busting hilarity in some truly tough situations, turning desperation into these incredible punchlines. So, let's get right into it. It all kicks off with this line. A character who's pretty sure he's about to have his organs illegally harvested actually tries to negotiate the deal. I mean, the humor is just so bleak, it's completely absurd, and it perfectly sets up the film's main idea. Comedy that's born directly from desperation. So here's our game plan for breaking this down. We're going to start with the everyday chaos that just fuels all the comedy. Then we'll look at the humor they find in their jobs and their slightly shattered dreams. After that, we'll dive into their seriously chaotic home life. And finally, we'll see how it all comes together to show us the incredible power of laughter. Okay, first up, we really have to understand the world these characters live in. The humor here, it's not about carefully crafted jokes. It's more like this explosion of chaos that just erupts from the sheer absurdity of trying to survive day in and day out. In their world, literally nothing is easy. Every single conversation, whether it's about who's going to go to work or just trying to take a selfie for a marriage proposal, it turns into this high-stakes negotiation. This constant back and forth, this verbal sparring, that is the engine of the film's comedic energy. And of course, this high-energy chaos doesn't just stay at home. It spills right into their work lives. You know, the daily grind, and their often useless attempts to get ahead, becomes this relentless source of both stress and some pretty brilliant situational comedy. This struggle forces them into these moments of, well, bizarre creativity. Their solutions to what should be simple problems often end up looking something like this. You know, way too complicated, slightly insane, and just cobbled together from whatever they could find. It's actually a perfect visual metaphor for how they live, with total chaotic ingenuity. Just take this line, for example. A character is asked, completely deadpan, if he's chopping herbs with a sword. See, in their world, that's not a joke. It's a legitimate question. It perfectly captures their make-do, slightly unhinged existence, and it finds humor in something that's totally unexpected, but also, for them, utterly believable. And their hustles are just as absurd. In one scene, a character shows up for his hotel job at 7 a.m., and he's told it's already full, with a grand total of 4 customers. The comedy here isn't some huge failure. It's in the small, nonsensical roadblocks that just define their daily struggle to earn a buck. So this daily struggle, it fuels a much more serious, but still darkly funny, theme: the immigrant dream. The film is constantly playing on the huge gap between their high-flying hopes and the brutal, often deceptive reality they actually have to face. Now, a key idea you gotta understand is the term donkey. It's what they call the dangerous, illegal routes immigrants often take to get across borders. This shared experience of taking huge risks out of pure desperation is this constant backdrop to their lives, and it's something they even manage to find some dark humor in. And of course, all this desperation makes them super easy targets. In one classic scam, they're promised a direct flight to the USA. And while they're all distracted, posing for a group photo, the agent just vanishes with all their passports and money. The tragedy is their hope, but the comedy, it's the sheer, simple audacity of the con. But wait, here's the brilliant twist. The guy they finally confront reveals that he was also scammed. He bitterly admits, "I was the donkey," realizing he was just another pawn in the game. And then, in this perfect moment of gallows humor, he even complains that his own photo probably didn't even turn out very good. It's this shared misery, layered with absurdity, that just makes the scene fantastic. All right, so now let's go from the outside world to their home life, which is, believe me, a whole other level of comedic chaos. These characters aren't just roommates. They're this reluctant, totally dysfunctional family, and their shared house becomes the stage for some of the film's absolute funniest moments. I mean, you have to feel for their poor landlord. He's at his wit's end. He's dealing with broken windows, a leaking tap, broken tiles, a revolving door of guests he never invited, and of course, the biggest problem of all, absolutely nobody is paying the rent. And the problem is, it's systemic. You've got tenants who've been there for months, some for weeks, others for just a few days. And the one thing they all have in common is that not a single one of them has paid a dime. The landlord's frustration just keeps building, and for us, the audience, it's just pure gold. And it all really comes down to this fundamental conflict, doesn't it? For the tenants, this chaotic house is a safe haven, a place to crash and figure things out. But for the landlord, it's a black hole that's sucking up all his money and his sanity. This complete clash of perspectives is just a comedy goldmine. So when you put it all together, the chaos, the hustle, the drama at home, it all points to something a little deeper. What makes this so profoundly funny? Well, it's the realization that this comedy is about way more than just landing a punchline. You see, for these characters, humor isn't a luxury, it's a survival tool. They're finding jokes in getting scammed, in their ridiculous living situation, in constantly arguing with their landlord. Laughter is the tool they use to get through a reality that would otherwise be completely unbearable. The comedy is just so multi-layered. It's born from these absolutely absurd situations, from their own very human flaws, and maybe most importantly, from the powerful sense of solidarity they find in their shared hardship. They know they're all in the same sinking boat, so they might as well laugh about it together. This entire dynamic is captured perfectly in this one single line. It starts with this poetic warmth. "My heart told me you would come," before it just crashes right back down to their chaotic reality. "And so you came, to stand on my foot." That's their entire relationship in a nutshell. Affection getting constantly sideswiped by annoyance. Ultimately, Chal Mera Put 2 leaves us with a really powerful question. When you're facing deception, poverty, and just total uncertainty, is laughter not just an option, but maybe the most essential survival skill we have? The film seems to suggest that in the bleakest of times, it just might be everything. Thanks for joining me.